Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Bike Culture Hub, your ultimate destination for in-depth motorcycle reviews and explanations. Today we have something truly special, a machine that defines raw attitude and unfiltered riding pleasure. This is the 2025 Harley-Davidson Iron 883, an iconic entry in Harley's legendary Sportster lineup. A bike that keeps things simple, yet screams rebellion. But is this stripped-down cruiser still worth your money in 2025? Stick around, because we're about to break down everything you need to know. There's something about a Harley-Davidson that just hits different. It's not about specs, it's not about cutting-edge technology, it's about the feeling. And when you throw your leg over a Harley, especially a bike like the Iron 883, you're stepping into a world that's as much about attitude as it is about riding. Today we take a deep dive into the 2025 Harley-Davidson Iron 883, a bike that keeps the legacy of old-school American cruisers alive. But in a world where motorcycles are becoming more high-tech, does this stripped-down machine still make sense in 2025? Let's find out. There's one thing Harley-Davidson gets right: its presence. The Iron 883 doesn't just sit there, it owns the space around it. The design philosophy behind this bike is simple: take everything unnecessary away and leave just the essentials. No chrome, no excess bulk, just pure, mechanical presence. The 2025 model retains this philosophy, bringing in some updated finishes, but keeping that unmistakable Iron 83 DNA. The compact frame, the slammed stance, and the aggressive silhouette make it one of the most instantly recognizable motorcycles on the road. And speaking of presence, let's talk about that engine. Nestled inside this frame is the same air-cooled 883C Evolution V-twin that has powered this lineup for years. It cranks out around 54 horsepower and 54 lb-ft of torque in not earth-shattering numbers, but that's not the point. The real magic of the Iron 883 is how it delivers that power. The moment you twist the throttle, you feel it, a low-end grunt that surges forward with an almost mechanical rawness. It's not the smoothest engine out there, but it's got soul. It vibrates, it shakes, and it reminds you that you're riding a machine, not an appliance. The Iron 883 may be a cruiser, but it's surprisingly nimble in urban settings. Weighing in at 564 pounds wet, it's not exactly light, but the low center of gravity and narrow frame make it easy to control, even for newer riders. The mid-mounted foot controls give you a more natural riding stance compared to forward controls, and the drag-style handlebars put you in a slightly aggressive, yet comfortable position. Whether you're darting through traffic or cruising at a steady pace, the Iron 883 feels confident and planted. Suspension on the Iron 883 is, well, let's call it traditional. Up front, you get 39mm forks with cartridge dampening, and in the rear, you get preload adjustable shocks. It's not the softest setup out there, and if you hit a rough patch of road, you're going to feel it. But then again, that's part of the experience. This isn't a bike designed to glide over everything effortlessly. It's built to give you a direct connection to the road. That said, if you're planning on long-distance rides, you might want to consider upgrading the rear shocks for a bit more comfort. Braking on the Iron 883 is handled by a single 300mm disc up front and another at the rear, with ABS now standard for 2025. The setup is functional, nothing fancy, but it gets the job done. The feedback from the lever is decent, and as long as you're not riding too aggressively, the stopping power is more than adequate. But don't expect sport bike levels of bite. This is a cruiser, after all. Under the tank, you'll find the same air-cooled 883C Evolution V-twin engine that's been a staple of the lineup. And while this engine isn't about neck-snapping power, it's all about character. Producing around 54 horsepower and 54 lb-ft of torque, the Iron 883 isn't a speed demon, but it delivers a strong, punchy mid-range that makes urban riding an absolute joy. The throttle response is crisp, the power delivery is smooth, and you get that unmistakable Harley rumble. It's a bike that speaks to the soul, giving you a visceral riding experience that modern liquid-cooled engines just can't replicate. But how does it feel on the road? Well, this bike isn't about high-speed touring or aggressive cornering, it's built for cruising. The riding position is slightly hunched forward, thanks to the drag bars and mid-mounted foot controls. The seat height is a comfortable 25.7 inches, making it accessible for riders of all sizes. At 564 pounds wet, the Iron 883 isn't exactly light, but it's manageable, especially for newer riders. The low center of gravity and narrow profile make weaving through traffic surprisingly easy. And let's be honest, there's something undeniably cool about throwing a leg over an Iron 883 and rolling through town with that deep, throaty exhaust note announcing your presence. Fuel range on the Iron 883 is something to keep in mind. With a 3.3-gallon tank and an average fuel economy of around 50 miles per gallon, you're looking at a range of roughly 150 miles per fill-up. That's plenty for city riding and short weekend trips, but if you're planning on long-haul journeys, you're going to be making frequent fuel stops. Then again, stopping to refuel is just another excuse to admire this bike while you stretch your legs. Harley-Davidson has kept things bare bones when it comes to instrumentation. You get an analog speedometer with a small digital readout for your odometer, trip meter, and fuel level. No fancy TFT screens, no smartphone connectivity, just the basics. Some might see this as a downside, but for riders who appreciate simplicity, it's a breath of fresh air. This bike isn't about distractions, it's about the ride. Now, let's talk competition. The Iron 883 exists in a segment filled with compelling alternatives. The Indian Scout Bobber offers more power and better suspension, while the Honda Rebel 1100 brings modern tech and a more refined engine. But here's the thing, the Iron 883 isn't trying to be the best on paper. It's not about having the most horsepower or the smoothest ride. It's about attitude, character, and that unmistakable Harley experience. You don't buy an Iron 883 because you want the most efficient cruiser, you buy it because you want a bike with personality. With a starting price of $11,999, the Iron 883 isn't the cheapest option in its category, but you're paying for more than just specs. You're paying for a legacy, a brand that has defined American motorcycling for over a century. You're buying into a culture, a sound, a feeling that no other manufacturer can truly replicate. So, is the 2025 Harley-Davidson Iron 883 the right bike for you? If you want modern electronics, cutting-edge performance, and the latest tech, then probably not. But if you want a motorcycle that makes you feel something every time you ride, a bike that connects you to the raw essence of motorcycling, then this might just be the perfect machine. It's not perfect, but it doesn't need to be. The Iron 883 is about soul, and in 2025, that's something money still can't buy. That's it for today's review. What do you think? Does the Iron 883 still have a place in today's market? Or is it time for Harley to move on? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dive motorcycle reviews. Until next time, ride safe and keep the rubber side down.